The Cincinnati, and don't fool yourself into saying any other name, but one name for the Cincinnati Bengals going into the draft. There makes no, they will not, mark my word, a dollar to a bag of donuts. They will not pick anybody but Joe Burrow. Anybody else in the conversation for the number one overall pick is just totally out of the question. Joe Burrow will be the next franchise quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. True or false?
It's true, but if everybody considered Andy Dalton still had something left, if he was still worth a damn, just halfway average, then they would take Chase Young. But everybody's done it to Andy Dalton, at least Bengals fans are. So, yeah, it's hands down Joe Burrow is going to be number one pick, and Chase Young is going number two. That's also hands down.
Washington Redskins from Ohio State. Yes, I think I certainly that you're right on that. Right now I don't see anything that maybe they go with Willis and the Lions pick up Chase Young, but certainly I can't see Chase Young lasting past the 3, which at this point, the way I look at it now, Willis is going to your Detroit Lions. What are your thoughts?
Well, there's going to be a lot of trying to trade up for that number 2 to get Chase Young. The Lions are going to try to trade up one spot. I don't know what they got to give up because they've traded away all their good players as it is anyway. To keep finishing, 3 wins under Matt Patricia. I don't know what they do. So I don't know who's like the 70th best player on the board. That's probably who the Lions take in the first round.
Who did you say the Lions would take?
I don't know.
Oh,
the 70th best player the way they draft.
we
Some
made
round guy they'll take in number 1.
We made all kinds of jokes with the way Miami was playing at the beginning of the season, taking for Tua. Well, clearly we know Burrow's going to go number 1 overall. We know Chase Young's going to go number 2. Okay, so we know Miami has the number 5 pick. There's a very good possibility that even though we made all those jokes about taking for Tua, they still end up with Tua at the 5 pick.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right call. I think they still take Tua, and he's not going to play next year because of the injury.
Sure.
But they are going to have they will take Tua, but he will not play the NFL next year.
So what do we think about the Giants? The Giants have a number 4 pick. A lot of people think that that's a home for Andrew Thomas, offensive tackle with Georgia there.
Yeah, Tom, you're getting into draft talk, and I don't have any players or anything in front of me. I'm watching TV. You're just going to throw out names, and I'm just supposed to know who they are, right?
Well, yeah. Come on, dude. Okay. Well, we'll talk about Star Wars then. Or you know what we can talk about? The Matthew said he was having the new blueberry waffle something cereal. What's your favorite cereal?
I think back in the day it was Count Chocula.
Ooh,
but I like a lot of cereals.
That brings a blast from the past. My favorite growing up was, when I was a kid, they had what was called cartoons on Saturday mornings. Man, we'd sit there and eat cereal in front of the TV and watch cartoons. The real cartoons. Bugs Bunny.
That's right.
Foghorn Leghorn. The real Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, yeah, I remember all that.
We're old, aren't we? We are old.
Getting there.
Old fellas.
Getting there,
let's talk a little bit about Tua. I mean, Tua, obviously, we talk about his injuries, and we know that he's going to be, and I know you know that name, so we could stay with him right now. But Tua obviously has been one of the elite supreme quarterbacks in Alabama's history and in present history as well. But it just goes to show that you never know what will happen and how it will happen. Do you think that because of the unknown and the uncertainty and the more of the guarantee money part of things is why Tua decided I'm going to go ahead and go into the draft?
Yeah, you're exactly right there. I kept thinking that because he couldn't work out for these scouts the way he wanted to work out and show everybody what he could do and help his draft status even more, that he would actually come back. But there's a big risk in coming back if he gets hurt again next year. So I agree with you. Get the money when you can get it. There's no reason to play another season without getting paid for it, right? Get the money, get paid whenever you can get that money, go into the draft. And he's still, like we just talked about with the Dolphins, he still might be a top 5 pick. If they're picking 5th, if no crazy trades happen, like we think is going to happen for Chase Young, for one, there might be some other teams going to trade the Dolphins for Tua. We don't know, but it looks like he'll still be a first-round pick this year. So he'll get that first-round money. But he's not going to play in the NFL next year. He's going to get better. He's going to get rehabilitated. But I think you're right. Go ahead and get the money whenever you can get it.
What do we know about Mike Leach and his replacement out there in Washington?
Yeah, I think the Egg Bowl has just become must-watch TV with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Mississippi State and Ole Miss play each other in the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving weekend every year, so that just became must-watch TV.
Wasn't that the game, and I probably may be getting them confused in my old man's brain, but isn't that the game where one of the players went into the end zone and hiked a leg? Like he was peeing?
Oh, what was
like
that?
A male dog peeing?
I think you're right. I think that was that game. It's ridiculous.
Lane Kiffin to Mississippi State. I mean, no big surprise there, but it's good to see old Lane getting a shot at a real opportunity there. And you know what? That's probably a really good fit for him.
Well, I mean, he's been the SEC before, and it didn't work out. So, but maybe he's grown up a little bit from then to now, and maybe it would be he's probably a better recruiter now than he was then. So, just based off that, it might be a little better run this time because he was the head coach of Tennessee, and they ran him out of there because he was awful.
He's not the same guy that got fired on the tarmac, is it? No.
Yeah, that's the same guy. Yeah, same guy.
Just stays off
same guy
airplanes.
got fired by the Raiders.
Well,
that's where you first heard Lane Kiffin, by the way. How the hell did he become the head coach of the Raiders back in the day?
You could ask a lot of questions.
Kiffin. His dad's Monty Kiffin. That's the reason why. Never mind. I just asked a rhetorical question.
Rhetorical. Don't use big words, Rick. I told you about that. Well, I don't know who's worse at hiring coaches. Although we'll see how Gruden pans out. Everybody was on the Gruden bus, and I give him a mediocre pass for the 2020 season. It was his first season back in a pocket full of money. The Brinks truckload up to his house, but I think he was less than expected, but I still give him a passing grade for the 2020 season. He certainly had a good, strong outing. Obviously, he beat the Indianapolis Colts, so we gotta give him a mark of deduction there. But John Gruden, the Raiders,
they were on the bubble making the playoffs, and Derek Carr's not his guy. I don't know what they're going to do in the draft, but I think he wants Carr out of there for one, and I don't think Carr's his guy. They were on the bubble this year making the playoffs. I mean, they had a couple tight games that just went the other way. We're talking about Oakland in the playoffs right here because they were like, it's a razor thin margin of them like not making the playoffs this year.
So let's talk a little bit about Freddie Kitchens, gone out of the Cincinnati Bengals group. They're the last Mohicans.
Cleveland Browns.
What did I say?
The Bengals.
I said the Browns. Oh, Bengals. I don't know why I said the Bengals. Another Ohio team screwing me up.
Another terrible Ohio team, yeah. So yeah.
Right. Cleveland. Sorry, you're right. Cleveland. But Freddie Kitchens out. What a mistake that was. They have yet to hire a new head coach. So the last of the Mohicans, the last of the standing of that 2020 class as far as new coaches go. Where are they looking at? I think a lot of people are talking about see, because I purposely wanted to forget his name from Indianapolis, and he went when he came from New England to here and didn't take Josh McDaniels. He's from there. It's a good fit for him. I don't think this year he proved anything to make himself head coach worthy, but he's certainly good enough to take over from Freddie Kitchens there in Cleveland. I think that's where a lot of people are talking about. But I know Ed was talking to me a little bit about Schwartz. They were talking about wanting to talk with him. So what are your thoughts as far as what direction does the Cleveland Browns go for a head coach?
Well, I think the Josh McDaniels thing is just not official yet. I know where I've seen that he has twice now this week, in the past 2 or 3 days, has been on the Cleveland Browns plane. They sent their plane to him twice to get him where he wants to go, back and forth. And I think it's almost it just hasn't been made official yet.
Okay, why? That would be the next bizarre question. Is what are we waiting on? I mean, you're not holding out for anybody else. I don't know.
I just know that I've seen he's been on the Browns team plane twice now in the past 2 or 3 days.
Interesting. And the whole Cowboys situation, that was another really bizarre coaching change as far as how that came about. Did you hear about all of that?
Yeah, all the meetings were ending at 500. It's like the Cowboys record. I guess Jason Garrett wasn't accepting his terms of release. And I think they just made a sideways move here, right, by hiring McCarthy. Maybe McCarthy has been looking this past year, studying these new offenses and taking notes and seeing where he can improve, when he's taking this year off. And maybe the Cowboys, I'm with you. I don't think he's the Cowboys' savior, but maybe they can take a step forward with him. But also at the same time, I feel like that was just a lateral move instead of a move forward.
Well, there was just a whole bizarre story about him spending the night at Jerry Jones's house and Jason Garrett basically refusing to accept his termination, saying he still wanted to be considered for the job. It was really kind of an odd situation, an odd story of how all that came together.
Yeah, I don't worry about the staying the night at his house thing, because I've heard on the radio the people that's been to his house. It's more like a hotel. There's a whole staff and everything. It's more like a hotel. It's not like they're staying up late and playing PlayStation together or anything like that. It's really more like a 6-star hotel, if you will, with the whole staff and just everything else than it is really a house.
Maybe it's a Playboy mansion. You never know.
It could be. I mean, why would you not want to stay there then?
Hey, I would stay there. I would definitely stay there. Well, we've got the divisional matchups this weekend. We're getting ready to get into that conversation with Ed Kratcz, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, SI.com. You're more than welcome to stick around. But let's talk a little bit about certainly the big game up in Baltimore between the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. Man, Lamar Jordan's the real deal. You got to think that as good as Tennessee has been lately, I just don't know. I would be shocked if they have enough in the tank to beat the Baltimore Ravens.
I would be shocked too, but I do think this is going to be a close game. I think the spread is somewhere around 10. I think Tennessee can actually cover that. I think it's actually be a closer game than what people are thinking, even though I think Baltimore gets the win.
Let's go out west to San Francisco. Obviously, the Vikings are headed out there. Man, you talk about a good game that was with the Vikings. But so I think this should be a good matchup. I think that the Vikings and the 49ers are kind of a mismatch. I'd like to see the Vikings win. I'm kind of a Vikings fan. They're a fun team to watch, but they play the 49ers today.
Well, just because of my gambling addiction that I have at work now, put all this money in the fantasy football, and now we have like in a playoff pool. Well, here I had to put $10 and draw a team. I drew Green Bay. All right, so I'm really just wanting Minnesota to somehow get a win today, and Green Bay move on next week, because I think Minnesota playing against Green Bay be the easiest road for at least me to get Green Bay into the Super Bowl. I don't know about winning it, but I win the pot.